Hello grade 12 students and welcome to the semester 1 exam revision lecture. So the objectives required for semester 1 exam are the following. In reading comprehension, of course the themes were environmental issues in chapter 1 in your ebook, comprehension ebook, and technology and scientific innovation also chapter 2 in your ebook. The skills we've covered pretty much everything required for your exams, for your official exams. This is because we had taken those previously last year, so it was we were able to go through them quickly. Title significance, thesis statement, implicit or explicit, types of introduction, the 5 most common types, patterns of organization, chart analysis, thematic relationship between paragraphs, author's credibility and supporting evidence, cohesive links and linking hooks, paraphrasing and summarizing, and also types of audience. So this pretty much covers it. The writing strategies or the writing types we took so far this year were the expository essay, problem solution and cause effect, and we also took a case study essay. We went through the characteristics and we took a model, and you guys actually wrote a case study of your own. So let's begin. The reading skills, the titles and subtitles, of course. What's the importance of a title? It's a mini summary or condensed summary of the content of the article or the text at hand. How will I ask such questions? Okay, this is pretty much how I will ask it. Of course, you guys are going to have to go through the PowerPoints and study those thoroughly again. I will ask them this way: how does the title reflect the main idea of the above text? And you have sample answers here. And I might also ask about subtitles. In some of the lectures we took, we had subtitles where you have those mini titles inside the text. Okay, why does the author use subtitles? Example, if you remember Deforestation 101, when we were talking about the reasons behind deforestation, the author inside the text included the reasons as written in subtitles. Why? Because the author this way categorizes the information in the text, organizes it, and facilitates the reader's work. Okay, so he guides the reader into what that person is going to read. Now, the thesis statement, of course, the thesis is either explicit or implicit. Sample questions again. Which sentence reflects the thesis statement? Justify your answer. Or identify the thesis statement in the opening paragraph. Why does the writer place it where it is? Here I will ask you those two questions if the thesis is explicit. However, if it's implicit, I will ask it this way. The opening paragraph of the above text does not seem to contain a clear thesis statement. Reread the paragraphs. Okay, reread the paragraphs and skim through the text to supply your own thesis statement. Of course, this would be one of the challenging questions on a test, because in order to write a thesis statement, you should have read the text very carefully and come up with one statement, one sentence that holds the main idea of this whole article. Okay, for the explicit thesis statement, the last sentence of the text acts as a thesis statement for the text entitled Eating Disorders Among Teens, since it introduces the main idea of the text, which is about the different types of eating disorders that teenagers can suffer from. Such an idea is fully elaborated in the body paragraphs. Elaborated means explained, etc. Discussed, if you want, you can use that. Now, if you need to provide your own thesis statement, this is how you will answer it. An appropriate thesis statement would be, okay, you write the thesis statement. This thesis statement reflects the main idea of the whole text, which focuses on causes behind teen anxiety, for example, or teen obesity. Such an idea is fully elaborated in the body paragraphs. Obviously, whatever you write in the thesis statement, you're going to elaborate explain, and support in the body paragraphs. That's the job of the body paragraphs. Types of introduction, the five major or five most common types: anecdote, brief narration, interesting story, a historical introduction, general to specific, I've already explained those, interesting facts or statistics, you can even say shocking facts and statistics, and a series of questions. Now, how I might ask you such a question: what type of introduction does the writer use? How does this affect the reader? Meaning arousing their curiosity, making them excited to read the text, grabbing their attention. Okay, such a sample answer: in the text entitled Early Marriage Among Females in Developing Countries, the author begins her article with an interesting fact. If you want to write instead of this a shocking fact, where she gives the percentage of girls who get married before 18. If you add them, it's 80%, so that's supposed to be a shocking fact. This method serves. Now here I'm asking, how does this method affect the reader? This method serves to capture the reader's attention, arouse their curiosity, and introduce the main idea of the text, which is about early marriage in developing countries. If I don't tell you a specific number of purposes or effects on the reader, you have to include 3. But if I tell you 2, just write 2. If I tell you 1, just write 1. Okay? Also, I might say, what is the function of the first paragraph of the above text? I didn't say what type of introduction. I just want you to tell me what it is. You say the first paragraph of the text entitled serves as an introduction to the text. It contains or holds the thesis statement of the text, which is fully elaborated and discussed in the body paragraphs. Now here is a different way I might ask the question: what purposes does the introductory paragraph serve? I give you a certain text and I tell you to read it and tell me what are its purposes. You give me the 3 purposes. I didn't ask for the kind or type. You would say the introductory paragraph of the text entitled serves to grab the reader's attention by providing shocking facts about the high percentage of early marriage among girls in Bangladesh. This method puts the reader in the general atmosphere of the text and arouses their curiosity to read more about the topic. Here I wrote 3 purposes, and I wrote how she managed to do that for the readers by presenting a shocking fact or statistic. So in brief, those are the purposes behind any type of introduction. Okay, introduces the topic, background information, arouses the reader's attention, grabs their attention, provides general atmosphere of the text, introduces the thesis, prepares the reader for a thorough discussion of the ideas raised in the thesis. You will choose 3 of those depending on what is appropriate for the text at hand. Okay, so you be the judge of that. Now, also, I might say, in what way or ways are the introductory and the concluding paragraphs of the above text thematically related? Meaning, what is the thematic relationship? Those mean the same, by the way. What's the thematic relationship between the introduction and the conclusion? How can I figure that out? Of course, I need to read the introduction thoroughly and then read the conclusion and see what the author did there. Most of the time, the author would repeat the same idea or restate the same idea he or she wrote in the introduction. He would do that in the conclusion. So that would be the introductory paragraph introduces the topic and presents the thesis statement, which focuses on, tell me. The concluding paragraph restates or reiterates, if you want to use a more fancy word, the same idea, gives a final opinion, and leaves the reader with future expectation. In this sense, the 2 paragraphs are thematically related. Okay, repeating the same idea. Now, what is the importance of the concluding paragraph? The concluding paragraph restates the same idea introduced, etc. So you write it in different words. But those 2 questions In those two questions, I'm asking you the same thing. Patterns of organization, we took 7 patterns. A pattern of organization is the way with which the author organizes their idea in a paragraph. Is it a cause-effect, comparison, contrast? Did they present a concept and define it, etc.? How do I figure it out? I figure it out from those clue words here. If I see those clue words or keywords, I know it's exemplification. If I see means or defined or refers to, I know it's definition. Okay, if I see like or likewise or as such, it means comparison, and so on and so forth. And we know the words, of course, for cause-effect relationships. Those are clue words that would lead us to the answer. Okay, then there's listing and classification. I talked about this. They both mean the same. And of course, the list, if you are going to choose listing or say that it's a listing pattern, all the items on that list need to be one figure of speech. All of them are nouns, or all of them are verbs, or all of them are adjectives, and not a mixture. If you're discussing COVID-19 in your essay, you would say the symptoms of COVID-19 include heavy coughing, tightness of chest, high fever, and shortness of breath. What pattern of organization did I use in that instance? I used listing. I am listing symptoms. All of them are nouns. Okay. And the final type of listing is time or chronological order, generally used when you're telling a brief story or telling a long story when you're narrating. How can I ask you questions related to pattern of organization? By simply saying what pattern of organization does the writer of the use in the above paragraph or in paragraph 3, whatever. Explain. You explain by telling me the clues or giving evidence. In the above paragraph, the author uses time order as a pattern of organization. He uses words such as first, then, later that day, and the day after in order to talk about what the scientist did during that time when he was excavating, for example, or when he was trying out the new chemical. Credibility and objectivity, of course. Credibility means being trusted or believed. How does an author achieve credibility and objectivity, which both mean the same? Of course, I can say credibility, objectivity, authenticity, and accuracy. All can be used interchangeably. All mean the same. In order to gain credibility, the author needs to use supporting evidence, or we call them means of support if you want. I want to prove to people that COVID-19 exists or is real. I need to give them facts and statistics. On average, 13 people are dying each day in Lebanon as a result of COVID-19, according to the Ministry of Health. Real life examples, I give them real names of people, okay, to prove my point, to be credible. Expert opinion, I will interview the president of the government hospital, the Rafiq Hariri Hospital. I will interview virologists. I will give a witness testimony. A witness is a person who has been there, a person who has gone through this. For example, a person who had COVID and had suffered so much and now is still suffering the consequences of that. Or a statement of authority. Authority means the government, someone in the government. Okay, why do we do that? An author uses at least one of those in the article. Sometimes the author uses all of those in order to achieve credibility and objectivity. Sample questions, as you might see. Okay, how does the writer achieve objectivity and credibility? Illustrate, meaning explain by giving examples. What means of support does the writer of the above text use to achieve accuracy and credibility? Give examples. Please read this thoroughly. This is how your answer should be. The writer achieves credibility and objectivity by using proper means of support such as facts and statistics. Don't stop there. Tell me. Give me at least one example. Okay? You can put them between brackets if you want, or between commas. She also uses a real-life example of a girl called Sila who died after having an abortion and miscarriage, and then the author used the expert opinion of a forensics expert who examined Sila. Okay, now the final part of your answer, though through these types of supporting evidence, the author achieved credibility, objectivity, and authenticity. You have to write those three in order to have a perfect answer. Okay, remember we are taking an official exam this year. The question might also be asked in an inverted way, which will make your job so much simpler. If they were to ask you, or if I were to ask you, the writer in the above text relies heavily on statistics and real-life examples, why does she resort to this technique? You would say the writer uses real-life examples, statistics, and expert opinion in order to achieve credibility, objectivity, and authenticity for her text. They are all written in a single sentence, and this is just your standard answer for such a question every time. Statistical charts, table analysis. Okay, we've gone through that a lot. For such questions, the answer is made of one paragraph, the topic sentence, okay, and then the analysis, and then the conclusion you make. Okay, the reason I'm not going through this is because I gave you this example before. Your answer should look like this. The topic sentence taken directly from the labeling of, from the title of your chart or graph or whatever. The chart depicts research results of the preferred social media platforms among teens in the US in 2018. That is 1/3 of my grade. Now the analysis. The most popular social media platform in this study is YouTube. Include the percentage. Followed by Instagram, Snapchat 69%, Facebook 51%, Twitter 32%, Tumblr 9%, and Reddit 70% respectively, meaning consecutively or after each other, as you know from math. I listed them from the most or from the highest to the lowest. Thus, we need to have those words. Thus, we conclude that social media platforms are immensely popular, extremely popular among teens, with YouTube at the top and Reddit at the bottom of the list. So, my topic sentence, my analysis, and at least one conclusion I have made. I've come up with a conclusion that they are immensely popular. If 85% of teens use YouTube and 72% use Instagram, etc., it means it's immensely popular. That's the biggest majority. Okay? Audience, types of audience, of course, those who would be interested in reading the text. I don't want you to stop at the type. I want you to tell me why that particular type would be interested in reading the text. You tell me, and please be specific. Parents of who and why? Parents of what? Parents of teenagers? Okay, be specific and tell me what their interest is. Doctors, which doctors? Okay, virologists, if we're talking about COVID, virologists. Okay, scientists, which scientists? Scientists making robots, okay, or scientists in the field of geology. Be specific as you can. Governments is a wrong answer, by the way, on official exams. Governments of, if we're talking about the issue of Amazon depletion, you would say governments of countries where the Amazon forest is located. That would be a specific answer because they need to lay down strategies in order to deal with the issue of the depletion of this precious forest. Okay? And those you see here are two examples, two sample answers you can read on your own when you are studying the PowerPoint. Thematic relationship between paragraphs. Of course, when an author writes any piece of writing, that author wants to have their make their writing coherent, linked together. How does the author do that? In one of those forms: comparison, contrast, okay? And those are the keywords for each one, okay, etc. A contrast, he would use such words, okay? For example, an idea contrast, which is a popular question among the official exams. In one paragraph, the author would present a concept, and in the latter paragraph, in the next paragraph, he would contrast it or show a difference. How? Look for those words: on the other hand, however, yet, but, nevertheless, in contrast. Okay, whenever you see those words, and generally it's written at the beginning of the next paragraph, okay, that's where you find your clues. You know that the thematic relationship between those two paragraphs is one of idea contrast. I prefer that you write idea comparison or idea contrast instead of just contrast. Okay, it's more elaborate when you do that. Problem solution, as the name suggests, in one paragraph the author presents a problem. Let's say the problem of farming in Amazon land, and in the latter paragraph, in the next paragraph, he would present ways in which the government is imposing higher restrictions on people who want to buy land in the Amazon. Okay, that would be a solution. Addition, reinforcement. Generally, you give an idea, you want to reinforce it with something, you want to add to it. Okay, you might give statistics. And then you might give results of certain studies, etc. Okay. Question answer. Obviously, in one paragraph, the author asks a question and answers it in the latter one. Cause effect. Okay, needless to say, presenting a cause and then its effect. Sample questions as you see here. Okay, read them again so that you know what to expect. A sample answer. In paragraph 1, the author presents the issue of the rise in the rate of obesity among teenagers, and in paragraph 2 he gives research results. Why? To reinforce his idea, which show that almost 1/3 of teens, write that statistics, are either obese or overweight. Therefore, the relationship between the two paragraphs is one of idea addition and support. Okay? Okay, what is the thematic relationship between the introduction and the conclusion? This is another, interesting question which you might be asked. We discussed it in one of the slides earlier. Usually they're connected by idea repetition. The author is repeating or reiterating or restating the main idea of the article which was stated in the introduction. But in order to answer such a question, you need to read the introduction carefully and read the conclusion carefully to figure out what the author actually did there. Paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is explaining a given text in your own words. We talked about this, of course. What are the steps? You reread the text very carefully. Citation, the source. Use third person. Make the text simpler and longer. Remember, you're explaining. Use synonyms, simpler synonyms, and change the sentence structure from active to passive, from quoted to reported. Okay? An example would be this. During the COVID-19 pandemic, differently abled children, meaning disabled, this is just a newer way of saying it, suffered dire, miserable consequences during the lockdown imposed since they were unable to be at the specialty centers where they were taken care of during the day. Can I make it simpler? Of course. Now, this citation, there is no paragraph. I would just say in the text above, the author explains that, please don't say means that, the author explains that disabled children, for differently abled, were going through a very tough time, dire, miserable, during the quarantine. Instead of lockdown, I said quarantine, that was imposed by the government because they were not allowed to be at the centers where they were taken care of course, and helped out by professionals during the day. I explained it. It was longer. I used third-person pronouns. Okay, I made it simpler. Summarizing is the opposite. Okay, in paraphrasing, I explain my ideas. I make the sentence longer. In summarizing, I'm doing the opposite. I just want to keep the main idea and drop the details. Read the text. Use citation. I gave you an example of citation. Use third-person pronouns, of course, not I, you, he, she, they, them. Use your own words, main ideas only, and drop the details. Make it shorter. Okay? On a test or quiz, summarizing questions will be asked in one of two of the following ways. We took those before, but it's good to remind ourselves. Examples. Write a one-sentence summary of the paragraph below. I talked about how Lebanese women are prohibited or not allowed to give their citizenship to their children. Okay, they wrote very, elaborate terms, etc. I just took the main idea. My summary. In the above paragraph, there is no paragraph number, I just write this. In the above paragraph, the author states that according to the nationality law, Lebanese women married to foreigners don't have the right to pass their nationality to their spouses. Spouses are their husbands and children due to certain reasons. Did I summarize the main idea here? Yes. Did I drop all the details? Yes. One sentence summary. And guys, when I say one sentence, I don't mean one line. A sentence is a statement that begins with a capital letter and ends with a full stop. It could be 3 lines, okay? Just like here. A sentence ends with this, an end mark. Now, another way, which you will be asked, the following is a poor version of a one-sentence summary, okay, of the paragraph below. This is the paragraph. This is a bad summary. I want you to give me a good one, an improved version. How would you do it? You do it this way. You read very well. How exercise is very important, how sitting for a long time affects your health. I took the main idea and it was the improved version. You can write here, you can write improved version 2 points. You can also say in the above paragraph, the author explains that sitting for a long time has its dangerous impacts on health, but fortunately this can be avoided by 1 hour of physical activity. This whole thing I was able to summarize by this one sentence. Okay, it's either this on the test or this. Okay, now we have reached author's tone and attitude. As you know from before, both words mean the same. The attitude is the way the author thinks, the author's point of view about the issue at hand or the concept discussed. Now, when you want to tell me the author's attitude or tone, you need to use an adjective. And the following are the lists of the most common tones that we use. Okay? Could be critical, ironic, uncertain, skeptical, doubtful. Those mean the same, of course. Fearful, comic. Critical is when you're criticizing something. If you're saying that the government shouldn't have done this, the government should have taken a stricter policy in fighting global warming, etc., you're criticizing the government. Comic and cheerful, comic meaning funny, cheerful, happy, both mean happy, excited, happy. Humorous also means comic, happy. Sarcastic is like ironic. You say one thing while you mean another. Oh, how successful the government of Lebanon was in implementing a lockdown. Okay, of course you mean the opposite. You're being ironic or sarcastic. Hopeful and optimistic mean the same. Okay, encouraging, supportive, objective, meaning neutral, scientific, rebellious, when you're rebelling against something. I don't like this. I think it should change. Scared, pessimistic, hopeless, they mean the same. Scared, frightened mean the same. Angry, you're alarmed, you're just shocked. Disappointed, unhappy. Warning, like alarmed. Gloomy means sad. Threatening, it's like you're threatening someone. If you don't do this, this will happen to you. Anxious, meaning nervous, and means also worried. Many others, but I doubt that you will ever have to use an adjective outside of those. Okay, but it's good to know the synonyms of those. If you want to search for more synonyms, why not? Linking hooks or cohesive links between paragraphs. Again, the author links the paragraphs or links ideas within a paragraph in two ways. Directly, using transitional signals and conjunctions. Conjunctions, I mean for, and, but, okay, because, etc. Transitional signals are those: moreover, equally, in addition, furthermore, until the end. If the author uses those to link ideas within a paragraph or between paragraphs, the author is linking his ideas directly. He's using direct linking hooks. However, when the author uses synonyms, repetition, and noun-pronoun antecedents, he is linking the ideas indirectly. Okay, so direct linking hooks, he writes paragraph 3 and then he begins paragraph 4 with moreover. Okay, he is adding another idea. The author uses the direct linking hook, if you want, or the direct transitional signal moreover to show addition of, and you continue explaining. Okay, but please keep in mind what transitional signals are. Those are the words the author uses to link or to connect his or her ideas. Now, if the author in one paragraph uses the word, for example, hopeful, and then he doesn't want to use it again, in the latter paragraph, in the next paragraph, he would say optimistic. How did the author link those? By the use of synonyms. Okay, let's say we're talking about pollution in the Mediterranean. I say pollution, the Mediterranean shores are polluted. And then in the next paragraph, I would use contaminated or contamination. I am linking those ideas, but I'm using a synonym to avoid repetition. Okay, now, but sometimes the author would repeat a keyword. If I am discussing social media, I repeat the word Instagram several times in my paragraphs. I am using repetition to connect my ideas. If I am talking about Mark Zuckerberg, I would talk about him in paragraph 3 and 4 and 5. I am linking my ideas indirectly by repeating a certain context. Okay? Why would I do that? The writer would repeat keywords in the paragraphs in order to emphasize the idea, emphasize the importance of what he or she is focusing on. I'm talking about Facebook. I repeated the word Mark Zuckerberg several times because this is my focus. Finally, the easiest one probably, or one of the most common ones, if not the easiest, would be noun-pronoun antecedent. I'm talking about cleaning campaigns in paragraph 3, and then I begin paragraph 4 with they. Instead of keeping on saying cleaning campaigns, I would say they. Obviously, now the writer links paragraphs 3 and 4 with a noun, pronoun, antecedent. And you would explain to me, in paragraph 3, the author was talking about the cleaning campaigns, and then in paragraph 4, he used they instead of cleaning campaigns. Okay? Okay? This is how I ask them, and this is how you should answer. What linking hook, direct or indirect, does the writer of the above text use to join or connect paragraphs 1 and 2 together? Or how does the writer achieve coherence? Okay, coherence meaning link or connection. You would say the writer uses an indirect linking hook, which is a noun, pronoun, antecedent in this case. Paragraph 2 starts with this, which is a demonstrative pronoun that refers to the idea of quarantine during the pandemic stated in paragraph 1. Thus, the pronoun joins the two paragraphs together. Or, how does the author achieve coherence between paragraphs 4 and 5? You would write something like that. Okay? Types of writing. I might ask you what type of writing is the above article. It could be one of those. Okay? Expository, argumentative, descriptive, or narrative. I'm not going to go through those in detail. They are already in your PowerPoint, and I have already explained them several times. Please read them, of course. Sample question: what type of writing does this essay belong to? What type of writing? What type of writing is this selection? Now, you tell me the type, and you tell me why you chose it. Okay? If it's argumentative, the selection at hand is argumentative in nature. It tackles two sides of the coil, for or against the use of online learning as part of the educational process, with a special focus on the refutation of the opposing side to this concept. Now we come to the writing part. I talked about what an essay is at the beginning of the year. Parts of an essay: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. All essays are made of 3 parts. What goes in an introduction, hook, background information, thesis statement. If you're missing any of those, then it's an issue. You need to include all parts. A hook is where you catch the reader's attention. It's the very first sentence. You can start with something like that. Did you know that a hook could be a question, again, or a quote, or a shocking fact or statistic? Okay, just to make your reader hooked. Hence the name. Okay, did you know that for every 30,000 people in Niger, only 1 doctor is available? Okay, a statement like this would arouse the reader's attention and make them want to read more. Then you give me background information. You can write a definition of what you're going to discuss, but don't give any details or examples. Then your thesis statement, which is the main idea taken, of course, from the question I asked you. Okay, a sample would be early marriage, which is widely practiced in remote and rural areas of developing countries, seems to have several negative physical and psychological effects on girls. So I'm going to discuss physical and psychological effects of early marriage. The body paragraphs: you have the topic sentence, supporting details, and concluding sentence. Each body paragraph needs a topic sentence, which is the main idea of this very paragraph. So, example, in body paragraph 1, it has been proven that early marriage has several physical impacts on young girls. So, here I'm going to write about the physical impacts. Supporting details: give examples from real life. Use statistics if you can. If you cannot, just from what you know, give examples. Finally, the conclusion, which does the following: restate the thesis, summarize, and leave the reader with a final thought. Now, the expository essay, again, re-explained. The purpose is to give explanation, information. The writer's tone is, in such essays, is objective, formal, and scientific, neutral if you want. Those are the ones we're going to take this year, explained here. And of course, whenever we take a new type, I will go into details with that. I will give you a worksheet, of course, and I will give you a sample, which I've done for the above here. Okay, now this is the format of the expository essay, just in one diagram to make things easier for you. Now, the model, expository cause-effect writing model. Here I asked about 3 causes of air pollution and their effects. So, a hook. In today's modern world, it has become normal to open the news and find that the headlines are not political but environmental. Good hook. Interesting fact. A sentence or two. Background information. So many environmental phenomena have taken their toll on Earth. Now, air pollution is perhaps one of the most severe and impending issues affecting the planet. And this is my thesis. Okay, this one is still not. It ravages the environment, presents several health risks, and affects the economy. Of course, each one of those is presented in the one body paragraph. Body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, okay, and body paragraph 3, let's say. This is how you should write your thesis. Now, how it ravages the environment. This is my topic sentence. Air pollution has negative effects on the environment. Primarily, it leads to the ozone depletion phenomena. Okay, recent studies here. I'm giving examples to support my idea, my topic sentence. If you can't give statistics, talk generally. Okay. Now, the other idea. Air pollution leads to serious health hazards. Here, this is the second idea. Okay, second idea, second body paragraph. First idea, first body paragraph. And, okay, moreover, air pollution leads to serious health hazards. I'm going to talk about the health effects, how it affects the lungs. Cancer is increasing, intellectual abilities in children is decreasing, heart strokes in adults, etc. And the final one, third body paragraph, effects on the economy. Furthermore, notice the transitions I'm using, okay? Furthermore, if I were to ask you what's the thematic relationship between body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and body paragraph 3, you would say it's one of addition and support. I use the transitional signal furthermore because I'm adding more ideas. Furthermore, air pollution has terrible effects on the economy. Now I'm going to add my supporting details here, my statistics if I can. Okay. Now, finally, consequently, in conclusion, as a result, to conclude, immediate procedures should be taken. This is a call for action in order to reduce the harmful effects of air pollution. First, governments should take measures to limit emissions, etc. Second, they can put taxes on carbon emissions. Here, of course, I'm providing practical solutions. When I ask you for practical solutions, this is what you should do. Third, governments should apply programs for recycling, reducing, and reusing. Finally, they can use alternative energy sources, such as wind, solar, and geothermal energies, the ones we discussed earlier. If this issue is not properly addressed or tackled or dealt with soon by authorities, the government, our planet will be facing impending doom. Okay? Now the problem-solution writing model. We need to act fast. Here I talked about another environmental issue, global warming. It's also an expository essay I started with an interesting hook. You wake up every day to breaking news about a glacier that has melted and will never come back, etc. And then I gave my thesis. A huge part of those issues is related to the phenomena of global warming, which has started to perplex scientists. Perplex means confused. And alarm governments, some of which have started to seriously look for sources of this problem solution. So in my body paragraphs, I'm gonna give, the topic sentence, of course, major source of global warming and its effect, another reason behind global warming, deforestation. In addition, again, notice the first major, another reason, in addition to that, okay? Those are the sorts of transitions you would use when you are giving more than one cause, or more than one effect, or more than one advantage, okay? Here I used statistics, I used facts, okay? Make sure you read this. And then, so how can this global phenomenon be reversed? Solutions. Governments need to start acting fast. Laws need to be passed and implemented. Furthermore, cars, factories, and major industries should be obliged to limit their greenhouse emissions by installing special filters, etc. After all, Earth is our only home. If things continue as they are, it won't be long before the last glaciers melt, Earth's temperatures become unbearable, and we will perish. Okay, now case study essays. Case study essays is where we are focusing on one case, one city, one river, one person dealing with this issue. Okay, one phenomenon. The characteristics of a case study essay: it's an expository essay. It informs and explains. That includes the background information on a relevant topic and an analysis for a specific case under the study process. It is an essay that analyzes a case study to identify the major problem or problems that exists and to suggest solutions. Okay, it could be thought of as a cause-effect solutions essay. Now, it could be about a person, a place, or even a specific situation. Example, a person who is addicted to online games. We wrote that before in 11th grade. A city that is affected by too much air pollution. I remember when we were back at school, some of you wrote about the oil spillage in the Mauritius. That was interesting. And Ali wrote that. And I had very good essays in general for case studies. So I expect a good case study if I were to ask you for one on the exam. Now, this case study could be in any field. Psychology, for example, a person who is suffering from anxiety, a woman who is addicted to painkillers, the environment, we talked about this, sociology, business, the downfall of a certain major economic power in the world. Okay? And again, the case study is generally made of 5 paragraphs, as are all our essays in grade 12. Like any essay, it's made of 3 parts: the introduction and the 3 body paragraphs, and the conclusion. An essay, of course, the introduction needs a hook, a lead, a thesis. Now, the thesis follow the same method as other expository essays, but do not present the problem yet. If we're talking about a person who was infected with COVID-19 and suffered dire consequences, do not write the thesis about that person. You would say, COVID-19 has had devastating effects on many individuals in the world, full stop. The first body paragraph, you present your case. Let's say you're talking about a person who is called Adham, who went through COVID and had serious health issues. Adham, who is a 46-year-old A person who works at a plastic factory in Beirut was affected by. You present his profile, present the problem, its causes, how did he get infected, the effects in the second body paragraph, how did that affect him, and the solution. Was it solved? How was the issue solved or resolved? That's if it was. What was done about it? Conclusion, like in any other essay, you restate your thesis, final thoughts, advice, recommendations, a call for action. Again, do not specify your case. Do not talk about Adham himself in the conclusion. And this is the case study writing model. The case of the Litani River. I talked about the different aspects, the different reasons behind the Litani. I'm going to read the introduction with you just to make sure you grasp the point. One of the most profound forms of pollution is the rampant and systematic contamination of water bodies due to careless human activities that do not take into consideration that water is the source of life. Interesting fact. Okay, shocking fact if you want. Lebanon is no stranger to this type of pollution, and in the absence of serious government surveillance, supervision, and punishment, people go about polluting the country's water sources as if they were of no value. Now, my thesis, I didn't say the Litani, I said rivers, long considered Lebanon's precious white fuel, are especially prone to this phenomena. So, my main idea is going to be, about a certain river in Lebanon. Now, my profile, the Litani River is considered an essential freshwater source for huge areas of Lebanon. Starting from the Bekaa Valley, etc. I talk about it. I present the issue. The river is exposed to chemical and microbial contamination from different sources. Sources of the pollution, throwing garbage, etc. Now the phenomena should be of major concern to the Lebanese authorities. Solutions. What is being done? What is being done, if anything? Tell me. If something is being done, tell me. If something is not being done, also tell me. According to statistics, there are around 146 farms in the Bekaa Valley, etc. Another issue. According health in Lebanon, 100 cases of typhoid were registered. So obviously nothing is being seriously done. The government needs to tackle this issue, but it isn't seriously doing so. And to conclude, the case of the Litani is one of many affected by human activities that continue to disregard means disrespect our environment's well-being. Water makes up most of our ecosystem. If we continue to abuse the available water bodies on Earth, we will end up without this vital source. So this is basically it for our long PowerPoint revision lecture, but very important. Please, you can stop this video at any point and repeat an idea I said. And also the PowerPoints are very detailed, very explanatory, so you shouldn't have any problems. But in case you have any problems, please don't hesitate to ask me, and I'm ready to help. So until we meet again, take care and thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.